Welcome back to the Old Photo Vault channel. This photograph captures a US M8 Greyhound armored car moving cautiously along a snow-covered forest road in the Harz Mountains of Saxony-Anhalt, Germany, in May 1945. Designed as a fast 6.6 reconnaissance vehicle, the Greyhound carried a 37mm main gun, built for speed rather than heavy combat. Shot by Life magazine, the image reflects the quiet tension of the final days of World War II in Europe. Even as the war neared its end, the road ahead remained uncertain, cold, and watchful. This image captures a quiet moment during a traditional deer hunt in the Scottish Highlands, set against a vast and rugged rural landscape. Two men dressed in classic tweed attire pause in the tall grass, one scanning the terrain through a telescope while the other steadies the scene. A saddled horse stands nearby, likely used to carry supplies or game across the hills. The photograph reflects an older Highland way of life, where patience, skill, and the land itself shaped the hunt. This photograph shows a historic log drive in North America, a vital method of transporting timber before modern trucks and railways existed. After trees were cut in winter, massive logs were released into rivers during the spring thaw and carried downstream to sawmills. The men standing atop the rolling timber, known as river pigs, balanced skillfully to guide the logs and prevent dangerous jams. It was grueling, risky work that powered an entire industry and shaped the early lumber economy. This photograph captures a spontaneous kiss between a French woman and an American soldier during the liberation of Paris in August 1944. The moment reflects the overwhelming joy and relief felt by Parisians as Allied forces freed the city from Nazi occupation. Perched on a tank covered in handwritten French messages, the couple embodies celebration breaking through years of fear and restraint. It became an enduring symbol of victory, human connection, and hope at the end of war. This photograph shows the wreckage of a German Panzer IV AUSF H tank destroyed during the Battle of Kursk in July 1943. Soviet soldiers walk past the shattered hull, inspecting what remains after one of the largest tank battles in military history. Taken on the Eastern Front, the image captures the sheer scale and brutality of mechanized warfare. The twisted metal stands as a silent marker of a turning point in World War II. This photograph shows soldiers of France's 2nd Armored Division marching through the Arc de Triomphe during the liberation of Paris in August 1944. Carrying their flags high, they move with calm determination after years of occupation. The scene marks the end of Nazi control over the French capital and the return of national pride. It captures a historic moment when Paris was finally free again. This photograph captures German soldiers stationed near the Eiffel Tower after Nazi forces occupied Paris in June 1940. Taken shortly after the invasion of France, the image reflects the sudden shift from a vibrant capital to a city under foreign control. During the occupation, large swastika flags were displayed on iconic landmarks, turning symbols of Paris into reminders of defeat. The scene stands in stark contrast to the liberation that would come 4 years later. This striking photograph shows a German DFS-230 assault glider lodged into a damaged apartment building in Budapest during the Battle of Budapest in February 1945. Taken by Soviet photographer Yevgeny Khalday, the image captures the chaos of Germany's last attempts to resupply the besieged city. The glider crashed into a building on Attila Street during a desperate nighttime mission to deliver food and ammunition. It stands as a dramatic symbol of the collapse unfolding across Europe in the final months of World War II. This photograph shows a German Junkers Ju-88 bomber with its tail heavily damaged, likely after an emergency landing or being hit in combat. The Ju-88 was one of Nazi Germany's most versatile twin-engine aircraft, used for bombing, reconnaissance, and night fighting throughout World War II. Standing beneath the broken fuselage, a lone figure emphasizes the scale of the machine and its vulnerability. The image quietly reflects how even the Luftwaffe's most capable aircraft could be brought down by the realities of war. This photograph shows the recovery of a Royal Australian Air Force Bristol Beaufighter in Australia's Northern Territory around 1943. The aircraft, known in the Pacific as Whispering Death for its sudden, devastating attacks, is being transported on a long-wheelbase Chevrolet C60L 4x4 truck used by No. 31 Squadron RAAF at Coomali Creek. The Beaufighter was a feared night fighter and strike aircraft. The image highlights the harsh conditions and improvisation required to keep air power operational, far from the main fronts of World War II. This photograph shows a barrage balloon floating above the Tower of London during World War II. These massive balloons were part of Britain's air defense system, especially during the Blitz, forcing enemy aircraft to fly higher and avoid the steel cables below. Suspended by heavy tethers and filled with hydrogen, they turned the sky itself into a defensive barrier. The crowd gathered beneath reflects a city learning to live under constant threat. This photograph shows 3 temporary graves of Australian soldiers who were killed in France during World War I. The crosses mark the resting places of Major Carl August, Richard Friedrichs, and Privates LPSF, Carter and Albert Edwin Downton, all from the 27th Australian Infantry Battalion, who fell in April 1918. Set on a quiet hillside, the simple markers reflect the immediacy and uncertainty of wartime burials. These men were later reinterred at the Dernancourt Communal Cemetery Extension, where their sacrifice became part of a larger, lasting memory. This photograph shows an abandoned Volkswagen Schwimmwagen outside the former Gestapo headquarters on Prinz Albrecht Strasse in Berlin in May 1945. Taken after the Battle of Berlin, the scene reflects the sudden collapse of Nazi authority at the war's end. Once used widely by German forces, the amphibious vehicle now sits damaged and discarded. The ruined entrance behind it marks the fall of one of the regime's most feared institutions. This photograph shows an elderly Berlin resident sitting quietly amid the ruins of the city after the Battle of Berlin in May 1945. Around him lie shattered buildings and the wreckage of a destroyed military vehicle, remnants of the brutal fighting that ended the war in Europe. Berlin had been devastated by relentless bombing and fierce street battles as Soviet forces advanced. The man's stillness captures the silent endurance of civilians left to rebuild their lives among the rubble. This photograph shows a captured German 8.8 cm Flak 37 anti-aircraft gun positioned in front of the ruined Reichstag in May 1945. Taken just after the Battle of Berlin, the shattered building behind it stands as a powerful symbol of Nazi Germany's defeat. The Flak 88, once feared for its effectiveness against both aircraft and tanks, now sits silent and repurposed by Soviet forces. The image marks the final reversal of power at the very heart of the Third Reich. This photograph captures a moment from the Battle of Berlin in the final weeks of World War II. An abandoned German Stug 4 assault gun lies silent on a city street, with the Berlin Victory Column rising in the background. Once a symbol of military pride, the vehicle now appears powerless amid the collapse of the Third Reich. The scene reflects the final defeat of Nazi Germany as Soviet forces closed in on the capital in April or May 1945. This photograph captures German forces withdrawing from Paris in August 1944, just days before the city's liberation by Allied troops. A Panzer V Panther tank rolls past the Arc de Triomphe, a powerful symbol of France, as occupation quietly gives way to retreat. Assigned to the Waffen-SS and part of the light defensive unit known as Gruppe Neifeind, the tank reflects Germany's last efforts to hold the city. In the foreground, everyday life continues, underscoring how close liberation truly was. This photograph shows a Wehrmacht soldier buying the Völkischer Beobachter newspaper at Place de la Concorde in Paris during World War II. Seated on an NSU 201 OSL motorcycle marked WH for the German Army, the soldier pauses amid the routines of occupation. The newspaper, the official voice of the Nazi Party, underscores how propaganda traveled with the military into daily life. Taken on October 31st, likely in 1942, the scene captures the unsettling normalcy of an occupied city. This photograph shows a woman confidently riding an early Excelsior motorcycle, likely dating to around 1919-1920. The machine, bearing the license plate G1T734, reflects the growing presence of women in motorcycling just after World War I. Some records suggest Excelsior motorcycles with similar registrations were issued around Tilburg, pointing to a Dutch connection. The image captures a quiet but striking moment of independence in the early age of motor transport. This photograph shows German troops transported by a long line of military vehicles during World War II. The trucks are Opel Blitz models, the standard medium truck of the German Army and the backbone of its logistics system, used to move soldiers, ammunition, and supplies. These vehicles enabled rapid troop movement across occupied Europe. The pointed style grills visible here identify early war Opel Blitz variants, capturing the scale and organization behind Germany's wartime mobility. This photograph shows a German Tiger I heavy tank during World War II, surrounded by crew members resting and working around the vehicle. Introduced in late 1942, the Tiger Y was Germany's first mass-produced tank armed with the powerful 88 mm KWK-36 gun. Built to counter Soviet armor, it was heavily protected, with thick armor shielding a 5-man crew. The image highlights both the sheer scale of the machine and the men who depended on it in battle. This photograph captures British troops of the 7th Armored Division entering Hamburg on May 3, 1945. Soldiers ride atop an armored vehicle, likely a half-track or a Cromwell or Churchill tank, as the city was taken without significant resistance. Germany's surrender of Hamburg marked the quiet collapse of Nazi control in the region. The scene reflects the exhausted calm of a war that was only days away from ending in Europe. This photograph shows a German U-boat resting in a dry dock during World War II, likely a Type 1C submarine. Known in German as Unterseeboot, these vessels formed the backbone of Germany's naval campaign in the Atlantic. Type 1XC boats, such as U-505, were long-range submarines built to hunt Allied shipping far from European waters. The image reveals the scale and engineering behind a weapon that once posed a serious threat to supply lines across the ocean. This photograph shows German U-boat crewmen sharing a meal inside the cramped interior of a submarine during World War II. Considered an elite force, U-boat sailors were often better fed than many frontline troops, especially at the start of a patrol. Yet meals were taken in tight, improvised spaces, sometimes beside torpedoes or machinery. The image reveals a rare moment of routine and camaraderie beneath the pressure of life at sea. This photograph shows a U.S. Army officer evaluating an experimental field ration during World War II or shortly afterward. The test was likely conducted by the United States Army Signal Corps, which documented and assessed soldiers' equipment and daily needs. Carefully arranged portions reflect early efforts to balance nutrition, portability, and morale in combat rations. The scene highlights how even small details like food were carefully studied to support troops in the field. This photograph shows a young couple seated together in a diner booth during the 1940s or early 1950s. The man wears a U.S. Army uniform.
I'm so glad we're here.
Suggesting the image was taken during World War II or shortly after his service. Their relaxed smiles and casual closeness reflect a rare moment of normalcy amid a turbulent era. It captures the quiet intimacy of everyday life continuing alongside history. This photograph shows American airmen in the Pacific Theater during World War II, seated around a human skull believed to have belonged to a Japanese soldier. Such acts of keeping body parts as war trophies, while disturbing today, were a grim reality in parts of the Pacific conflict. The image reflects the brutal dehumanization that prolonged, close-quarters warfare could produce. It stands as a stark reminder of how war can erode moral boundaries on all sides. This photograph captures U.S. soldiers enduring brutal winter conditions during the Korean War in 1951. The striking mask worn by the soldier in the foreground is not a cultural artifact, but standard U.S. military cold weather gear designed to protect against extreme frost. Behind him, armored vehicles and bundled troops emphasize how harsh terrain and climate became enemies of their own. The image reflects the physical toll of fighting a modern war in unforgiving conditions. This photograph shows Kyusaku Shimada portraying Kato Yasunori in the 1988 Japanese film Tokyo, the Last Megalopolis. Dressed as a Japanese military officer, the character blends authority with occult menace, standing amid fire and smoke. Kato Yasunori is depicted as both a sorcerer and a symbol of dark nationalism. The role became one of Shimada's most iconic performances, leaving a lasting impression on Japanese cinema and pop culture. As we come to the end of this journey through history, these images remind us that the past is never silent. It lingers in faces, ruins, and fleeting moments caught on film. Each photograph holds a story of conflict, survival, love, or loss, waiting to be remembered. If one image stayed with you or made you pause and think, let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you won't miss the next chapter hidden inside vintage photographs. History still has many stories left to tell.